Good evening, everyone. Welcome. It's my great pleasure to have distinguished Toastmaster, Club Mentor Chair, Shoba Rao here with us tonight. Shoba has been a Toastmaster for 9 years. She has been awarded Division Director of the Year this June. Shoba was a leader. She enabled everyone by enabling them from behind the scene. When Shoba and I were peer area directors, we helped each other's area contest. In one of the area contests, one of our conversations went on how to become a confident leader. That conversation empowered me to treat every challenges as opportunities. Shoba mentored me since then. Tonight, I'm excited to hear more about Shoba's mentoring experience together with you. Now let's welcome distinguished Toastmaster, Club Mentor Chair Shoba Rao on the stage.
Thank you, Yifeng. Thanks for that warm welcome. Wow. Who is a mentor? That's what we want to know first. It is a widely cited concept that the mentoring concept as such originated with the character of mentor in Homer's Odyssey. So in that poem, Odyssey, he entrusts his young son Telemachus to the care of mentor, but due to Trojan War, it takes forever for him to come back, and mentor is supposedly nurtures and supports the boy when he grows up. That is what is conceptualized as the origin of the concept mentor. Now we want to know, who is a mentor? Mentor is someone who manages the relationship, encourages, nurtures, teaches, and offers mutual respect and responds to a mentee's needs. That's exactly how a mentor is defined. There are various mentors all around the world. In fact, Steve Jobs mentored Mark Zuckerberg, and Bill Gates looks up to Warren Buffett as his mentor. Oprah Winfrey, best known for a talk show, was mentored by celebrated author and poet, the late Maya Angelou. This is what Winfrey said: "She was there for me always, guiding me through some of the most important years of my life. Mentors are important, and I don't think anybody makes it in the world without some form of mentorship." And that's exactly why we have mentors for new clubs that are chartered in our district as well. Mentors are not just about mentoring a single person, it's about mentoring everybody in a club. There is a subtle difference between coaching and mentoring. Coaching is more performance driven, whereas mentoring is development driven. And today, to explain to us more about mentoring, we have a wonderful set of panelists. I would like to welcome the panelists now. Our first panelist will be Francoise Muller. Françoise Muller. She has been a Toastmaster for the past 12 years and has held almost every club officer position and many district leadership positions, including she as our past district director a couple of years ago. She is currently a member of 2 clubs and is considering a third one to join. Like many, Francoise also has had several mentors in her life. One of them helped her develop her leadership skills within Toastmasters and how to transport those skills outside of Toastmasters. She today is striving to be a role model and a mentor to new employees in her lab. Let's welcome Francoise.
Hello, Shoba.
Thank you, Francoise. Thanks for being here today.
My pleasure.
Our second panelist is Vinod Nagarajan. Vinod has been a member of NSpeak Toastmasters for the past 5 years. He has served as an area director and a finance manager at the district level. Last year, he was our finance manager. Currently, he serves as a membership renewal chair in the club growth team. He has mentored Global Toastmasters Club, and his inspiration to take up this role has been his mentor, Christine Mohammed, from his home club. Let's welcome Vinod.
Hello, everyone. Hi.
Thanks for being here, Vinod, and helping me out by being a panelist. Our third panelist is Mehrnaz Mehr. Mehrnaz has been a Toastmaster since 2009, and she has served in various leadership positions, including area director, division director, and in fact, she was the new club mentor, which was called a mentor director then. She was a new club mentor director in District 4 when District 101 and District 4 was together, called as District 4. She's a member of Saratoga Toastmasters Club, and in other life, she works as an engineer for a marine construction company. Few words about her mentor and role model. When I posed this question to her, this is what she said. We change and evolve continuously, and if we don't stay in touch with these changes, we become a stranger to ourselves. That's the golden rule that she applies everywhere in her life. So she is changing and evolving continuously too. Let's welcome Mehrnaz.
Thank you, Shoba. Thank you for having me.
Thank you, Mehrnaz. Our fourth and final panelist is Greg Netzorg. Greg has been a Toastmaster for 11 years, and he served as A2 Area Director last term. He's a member of Speakeasy, Monterey, and Naval Postgraduate School Toastmasters. He's a retired naval officer, helicopter pilot, and basic physics instructor. He's a science and math teacher for several years. He's an educational test publisher as a math content specialist and software manager. When I asked him about his mentor or role model in his life, he said it is someone who enjoys helping others, seeing the light bulb go on when someone gets excited about learning, and offering a kind word and encouragement. We all have mentors in our day-to-day lives. Now, let's hop on to new club mentoring, which is why we are here today. I want to take my question to all the panelists one by one. I would like to start with Vinod. But before going there, what are the duties of a club mentor? These are some basic duties of a new club mentor. You might all be wondering, what do I have to do just because I'm a mentor of a new club? What is there in store for me? It is about sharing your knowledge, whatever you have learned all these days. Sharing knowledge and helping them with their official duties, how to have quality club meetings, how to build their membership, how to help them get recognized at the district level and beyond, how to help them with the distinguished club program or pathways or the basics education program. Remember, a new club is a band of Toastmasters who are brand new to Toastmasters itself, and so they wouldn't know what to do. And we are there to mentor them and help them develop. Vinod, if I may ask you a question. I know you mentored Global Toastmasters.
Yes.
Can you share a couple of points about quality club meetings and how to build membership? And what kind of knowledge you shared with your club?
Okay. When I was introduced as a club mentor to Global Toastmasters, that club hasn't been chartered yet. They just had a demo meeting and they didn't have 20 members that qualifies to become a member, to charter a club, right? So it started like a membership building activity along with the club mentor as well. So as a mentor, we introduce things related to Toastmasters to the people. Not every new club that is being chartered has experienced Toastmasters in it. Luckily, this club, Global Toastmasters, had 2 members who had some Toastmasters experience, but rest of the members were all new, and it involved educating them about pathways and getting, after the demo meeting, people experienced the roles and functionaries in a meeting, but they hardly had any grasp about what everyone would do. It's just one glimpse of a demo meeting, and then they tend to forget. So as a mentor, we need to provide feedback about each functionary roles and how to make a quality meeting. So when it comes to Toastmasters, it is always a quality meeting that will help a club flourish. So we just impart that feedback that we had from years of experience in your Toastmasters club. When it comes to club building membership, yes, as I said, this club didn't have enough members to charter. So we had we had a good PR who did a job of printing flyers and distributing to people, and we requested members to bring in one other colleague or a friend for every meeting. So in about 6 weeks after I joined them as a mentor, we got this 20-member count for the club to be chartered.
Oh, wow. Okay. That sounds good. I know you spoke about quality club meetings, and I do know that Greg is out here who also is mentoring a very special club in our district. And just to show how what we call as quality club meetings might vary between club to club, Greg, would you like to share about your club and how you what knowledge you shared for their club meetings?
Excuse me, certainly. I'm the co-mentor for the FCN Toastmasters. That FCN stands for Families of Children with Special Needs. So that gives you an idea right there what is going on. It is not your typical club or club meeting. Most of the members are young adults, either high school up through their early working years. A lot of them with the tech companies, those that are working. So they're very sharp in some respects. There is a large amount of parental support during meetings. A lot of the parents will be there sitting next to their kids, their members of the club, helping them out as they go. The president of the club is an experienced Toastmaster. He's a member of 2 or 3 clubs up in your area, up in the San Jose area. So he's really the one that's guiding the club and has a very good idea what's going on. He is the parent of a child with special needs. So that's how he got into this. The flow of the meeting is typical of most meetings. We have all the functionaries, they introduce themselves, have a couple of speeches, table topics, and evaluations, but all of it is very scripted. That's something that we don't normally do. All the prepared speeches are driven by PowerPoints. At the start, when I started off a couple months ago, they were basically reading word for word from their PowerPoints. They've gotten away from that now. They're starting to embellish, just have a few words or a picture and embellish, talk about what is on their PowerPoint. Table topics is also a very different phenomenon from what we're used to. If you ask, for example, what's your favorite sport? The reply will be something like baseball, and that's the end of their discussion. So there's a lot of interaction between the table topics master and the person answering the questions. It was always a chore to get up to 1 minute. So something I helped out with as mentor, I introduced the folks to the colored backgrounds for timers. So it was much easier for the members to see that. We also started giving awards, made a little certificate and presented that to the folks that made it up to 1 minute for table topics. Things like that, just trying to get people involved. So that's what I've been doing.
Thank you, Greg. I especially wanted Greg to share his experience because I want people to know that in District 101, we do have a club which is very different than a regular Toastmaster club. And when mentoring such clubs, what we call as a regular quality club meeting is very different from the club that Greg is mentoring, where, as he said, the table topics will be just one word answer. That's all the club members can do. And then how do you mentor them and help them develop those skills? And that's an excellent example. Thank you, Greg. So we covered club meetings and how to build membership with both Vinod and Greg. How do we share knowledge about the official duties, so as to what different roles of the officers are, and how do you get the clubs recognized? I would like Françoise to answer that question if possible. Françoise, can you help us understand those better?
Absolutely. Thank you for asking those judicious questions tonight. So the official duties, it's mostly about forming and informing the club officers of the different tasks that they need to do throughout the year. Oftentimes you see a club president taking the whole burden of carrying the club around because they started the club, they've been the charter president of the club, and they believe that they need to do everything. So the role of a mentor is really to take those little tasks and give the right ones to the VP of education, the VP of PR, etc. So this is the type of things that you can actually help people segment the different tasks to make a club thrive. And it prevents burnout in the long run. Also in the short run, I can tell you. Also keeping in mind that every club meeting needs to be a fun meeting that makes people keep coming back and engaging in every aspect of the way, from table topics to speeches to evaluation. So that's key there. In terms of education program, you want to make sure that every speech that is given is coming from pathways. At Toastmasters, we don't speak for free. The way we get paid is to get an evaluation and get credit for it that we can apply on our pathways, and that credit will transfer to the club recognition. And I think we will talk a little bit later about the DCP. This is also something to train the officers about, but their accomplishments is really the large and small. The large ones when there is something happening with the club, whether all the dues have been paid on time, their club officer list have been submitted, showing where there are some events hosted by the district. This is the type of details that may come naturally to people who have been at Toastmasters for a long time and involved with the district, but it's completely new to a lot of those members in the club. And finally, the small little recognitions like completing the icebreaker, or completing a level, or having something outstanding outside of Toastmasters is also something that keeps the momentum going within the club. So that's what I've been working on along other tasks when I was mentoring a club, and I'm still mentoring a club today.
Thank you, Françoise. And to show how much she cares about the education program, the moment I said I want to be a panelist and I'm planning to do this panel discussion, Françoise, the first question was, I hope you're using it for your Pathways program, the panel discussion. And I am using it today for my level 5 Pathways. Thank you, Françoise. Now, just Mehrnaz was a mentor long back, a club which is thriving till today. So Mehrnaz, can you share about how you shared your knowledge with the club and especially with the Distinguished Club program? I have seen you personally in my club as VPE, and I know that you had extensive knowledge in Distinguished Club program and you always were up for it. Please.
Yes, thank you, Shoba. Thank you for that question. So DCP, when it comes to new club, DCP is completely new concept to new club, to new members, right? They ask you, what is that? So you gotta take it really easy. First of all, making sure that not introducing DCP right at the beginning, because it's just gonna be too much. You're pushing them all of a sudden into a river and they don't know what to do. So for my experience, I realized that maybe 2 or 3 months down the road, it's been a long time ago, but I think it was 2 or 3 months, that now I found it, it's time to introduce them to distinguished club program and let them know what is it all about. So the club was already a strong, well, pretty strong club right from the beginning. It was a corporate club. As far as the education goals, they were doing great. As far as membership goals, they were doing wonderful. But one thing that they were not doing good, and they didn't want to touch it at all, was the training goal. No matter how much I would insist, ask them, you need to go for training because it's good for you, these people would not listen. They were busy, bunch of engineers working very hard, and they would register for training, but they wouldn't go, they wouldn't show up. Until I told them about the benefit of when officers are all together in one place and they're getting trained for one specific goal, such as, for example, president or secretary, whatever. When you are together, you learn from each other. So it doesn't matter if I give you the list of your responsibilities and say that this is your responsibility, still, until you get together with other officers and really hear about each other's problem and trying to solve the problem together, because as you know, those people who have gone to the officer training, they know, you know that this solving scenarios is the best part of any officer's training. So when you come to that portion, then you get to know, that kind of problem might come in the future for my club. So for me, introducing them to DCP was the training portion of it that really was a challenge, and we finally figured it out and we solved it, but with a lot of work and effort. And I'm glad we finally did that.
Thank you, Mehrnaz. I think that's a classic example for any mentor when we go to a new club. The DCP is a novel concept for them, and they very rarely understand what it is, what the fuss is about, basically. That's how it goes. And it takes time to help them learn. Thanks a lot for that. So after discussing about duties of a club mentor, we all know that we have to mentor a new club. And other than the basic benefit of getting a mentor credit towards our DTM, I just wanted to share about benefits of club mentoring that you as a mentor can get. It is not just about helping someone else, but at the same time, we also learn and we also get benefited when we are mentoring a club. And I would like the panelists to share their experience about benefits of mentoring. There are a few benefits that I have listed down here. One is where you're sharing expertise and how to translate your values into action, and how to invest in the future of Toastmasters, and more than anything, obtaining fresh perspectives because it's a brand new club, and how to build teamwork skills and applying leadership skills in new situations. Because if you're a mentor in your club and you go to your club every single day, you are in your own comfort zone. When you mentor a new club, you're getting out of your comfort zone and you're really applying your leadership skills in a brand new situation. So I just want the panelists to discuss about this, these points as well. So let me again start with Francoise. I know you have used your skills that you have learned in clubs in various leadership positions at workplace too, with different group of engineers, as you mentioned. So can you share a few tidbits on how mentoring has benefited you, where your values were translated, and how you were able to invest in the future of Toastmasters?
Well, for me, how I share my expertise, it's how I benefited from mentoring and by sharing my expertise is I could really see how a whole group of new Toastmasters who were discovering the benefits of Toastmasters. I was taking some things for granted, and I was put things in perspective, and I was able to notice more that the good things that happen at Toastmasters within the club or for myself. And the experience of mentoring a club benefited me because I've learned different communication styles that were working better with some people than others. And I've, like you said, I've been applying the same methods at work where when I have a new colleague coming in, I need to find the right method approach on how to communicate with that person to be the most effective. The productivity side comes from that, becoming a better and more effective communicator. So it all melds together. Everything comes together. The techniques that we learn at Toastmasters when we give speeches, when we give effective evaluations of table topics, it all comes together when we have to actually help somebody and make sure that our communication, our ideas go through. And seeing how people thrive after giving their first couple of speeches, it's just something that you know that those people will continue on no matter what. They will either be continuing with their club, or if something happens and they move to a different area, they will be joining a different club, or they will be thinking about rejoining a club. We've seen a lot of people taking a break, sometimes a few years, and coming back to Toastmasters and really enjoying the benefits of a club and the benefits of Toastmasters. So coming from mentoring a new member in a new club to having people coming back to Toastmasters really close the loop there. And that's something that I really enjoy seeing.
Yeah, definitely. I can understand. It's almost gives you a feeling of accomplishment too.
Definitely.
Thank you. So Vinod, I just wanted to ask you, why don't you touch upon how it benefited you? And when I asked Vinod, he did say that his experience of mentoring has groomed him to voice out and communicate his ideas effectively at his workplace. Can you share a few points on how it helped you build your teamwork skills, maybe, and how you improved yourself as a leader? Yeah.
Sure. Thank you, Shoba. Yes, this mentoring experience has been very valuable in terms of how I started listening actively to the club members, and also at workplace, how I was able to interact and listen to people before I put my ideas before them. So even at the club level, when I talk about listening actively, what I meant is when we just enter a club as a new member, like mentor is also kind of like a member, attends every meeting, and you just can't give all your feedback right away at their face. So we listen to them and then build trust. We are just a trusted advisors, is what I would say club mentor is. So once you've built the trust, like they started listening to you and the process becomes smooth, is what I felt. And I think this applies to my workplace as well. When you have a trusted colleague, you have any questions, you don't have any inhibitions about whether what he would think about whether I'm doing right or wrong. You just go and approach, you initiate things. So these things did help me at my workplace as well. And moving on to other important as a teamwork, when you think about this particular club faces some challenges with membership due to this pandemic, but we are trying to understand the reality, what it is, and not force any unachievable goals. We are just trying to set some goals that we can identify, and then without limitations, and help the members who are coming to the meetings to give speeches and improve them as such. So this approach has been really helpful personally as well.
Yeah, thanks, Vinod. I think you touched upon the point, which is very key for most of us, is like how we take it back. Whatever we apply here, we learn, we get a new perspective, and we take it back to our work place. And maybe if we can apply it even at home too. I'm sure we should be able to apply our leadership skills.
Definitely.
Yeah. So when I spoke to Mehrnaz, I remember you also said that it helped you improve your communication presentation skill. Can you tell us something about how you were able to get a fresh perspective after mentoring a club and then apply your leadership skills in new situations? I know you have been a leader in district for quite a while. You were in fact awarded, if I remember, Toastmaster of the Year Award too once. So can you share something with us, how it benefited you?
Sure, thanks, Shoba. So, you know, each club has a unique culture, right? Mm-hmm. So when I became a club mentor, now I had the opportunity to not only observe, but also participate in that new culture, right? So, and once I started participating, then I started seeing things in a new perspective, right? Mm-hmm. Which was completely different than, for example, that 2 years that I was in my club and I was getting bored and perhaps I thought that this is it and I want to live, I'm done. But now by being in a new club, a new environment, a new culture, I saw things differently. And this fresh perspective gave me, how can I say, gave me that foundation to grow even more, you see? So now I found myself in a place where I can expand my leadership, which was great, was wonderful. It was like, I saw now opportunity in front of me. And how I applied my leadership also, because I was a club officer in my club, and also I was mentor in my club. Now as a club mentor, I'm not mentoring one person anymore. I'm mentoring the whole club, which consisted of 25 members, I think it was. So I'm not only responsible for the education of, goal of one individual, but also I'm responsible for the membership goals too, and all those things that involve in DCP. So it was really a great way to see myself growing and expanding of what I knew and what I learned in the club level.
Yeah, that makes sense. Thank you. Because when we grow, until we put ourselves into new situations, we never know what we are capable of. And that's exactly what you said.
And I think the timer is forgetting to time us. So I was going to go more, but I thought I'm hitting the red.
No, I think she is. That's okay. So Greg, do you want to share about how you were able to gain any fresh perspective? And I know you're doing this mentoring. Also, it helps you get you a credit towards your DTM. So just your perspective again.
Right. This is the last major hurdle before I do get my DTM award. But outside that, it's really helped me think outside the box. It's a situation I've not been in before, working with people with special needs. So it's when you look at it and you see what some of the problems are, how can you solve them? I've really had to think outside the box, outside my normal experience, talk with other people, get some ideas from them. So it's really helped my communications and my thought process, not just in Toastmasters, but in normal life. Another thing I helped them with when I first started mentoring, they were trying to put next week's meeting together at the end of each meeting. And I suggested they try to get it set up ahead of time and then just confirm at the end of the meeting. And that's made a big difference. There was one member, they'd asked, would you like to do this role next week? No. No. So last Saturday, he took one and did a super job with it. So it's great to see the growth that these folks are making. Very rewarding. Back to you.
Thank you. Thank you, Greg. So now I think now is a good time to move on to our last question. Or rather, at FCSN, as far as I know, how are the clubs doing now? This is something that I wanted to touch base on. And FCSN, as you told just now, Greg, is it's a special needs club. From when you started, how far have they come? Where are they today? Just like a one-liner or few lines.
As far as membership goes, is that what you're?
Yeah, membership and table topics, you already mentioned what you did.
Well, they're consecutively, almost always have at least 20 members. They're at the meeting, very consistent that way. They've also recruited a couple of mentors, or not mentors, but coaches really from outside community that are helping a lot. They are trying to hold their current membership to what they have right now because of the large demand on time, the administrative time that it takes to run that club, because most of the members are not able to do a lot of the things themselves, especially in pathways. They're trying to streamline the process a little bit more and then start a second club is the plan.
Wow, okay, that's interesting.
But it's not a problem getting members for this club.
Okay, actually that's contradictory to what I was thinking. I thought it would be tough to get members, but it is not, from what you're saying.
It seems to be a very large organization, and it's something I think that's showing real progress.
Okay. Thank you, Greg. Thanks for that insight. Mehrnaz, I know you were a club mentor in 2012, from what we figured out. And can you share about how that club is doing now? That would be good to know, because it's close to 8 years from the time the club started.
Yes, so I was able to contact the past area director. And what happened during this Corona situation, well, first of all, starting with this, that they were corporate club, and then they decided to become community club, which is great because they added members. And I heard that 1/3 of members of the club were from the community and 2/3 was from the company. But what happened during the Corona, they did not find this their priority anymore, because lunchtime that they used to have meeting, now they're having business meeting, and every day, one different person, 2, 3 different person having that meeting every, different day of the week. Therefore, they couldn't find this any more convenient to have Toastmasters meeting. So we went away. Maybe about 4, 5, 6 months, they didn't have many meetings. But then I heard from the current area director that yes, now they're back and they are meeting online. They lost 8 members as a result of not meeting for that period of time. But then now that are back for the last couple of months, they have actually gained 2 more members. So they're doing good and they're meeting online and they're enrolled on pathways, all of them. And what else? Yeah, that's it. That's it.
Great. That's
that
great.
They're doing great.
And I personally know that club because it was in my division. It is the Grammarians Club, which is kind of well known. We have some really good Toastmasters from that club, and they have been doing well in the past 8 years, thanks to your mentorship when they started, Mehrnaz. Thanks a lot. Francois, how about, I know you mentored a club long back, and then again you have become a mentor. You're mentoring another brand new club now. Why don't you tell us how your clubs are doing?
Let me start by saying that it was a great experience. The first experience as a mentor was wonderful. The group of people was really nice. the club could not survive a reorganization and trying to move meetings to a different day. So unfortunately, just a couple of months after my mentorship ended, they decided to not continue. The club relied on 3 officers to keep going. They tried to get people to work with them, but with everything that was going on in the company, it was decided that it was not worth their time to try to even find a different time of the day to meet or different time of the week. Now, that was a corporate club, by the way. I am currently mentoring another corporate club. It's also thriving. This club has a couple of members who have been members in the past, so they have some background on how to lead a club, and they know how to spread the different tasks around. And they are doing a great job in scheduling the speakers ahead of time. I am mentoring with somebody else in the club, and we don't even need to tell them, hey, it would be good if you were to schedule speeches 2 or 3 weeks in advance. They already have an agenda ready for 8 weeks. So I will stay with them in the long run and make sure that they continue that way. And then when the clubs, the officers change, they will continue on the same path.
Thanks, Francois. I think this is exactly what I wanted to convey was being a mentor, it's almost like our child after some time. So we mentor them, and then I think it's not just like after 6 months, once we get the credit, we move on. We just still keep a tab and see how they are doing so that we understand how their development is. As I said before, mentoring is a development achievement more than a quantitative achievement. That's another reason why I wanted to have different panelists. Like Mehrnaz was a mentor long back, and that club is still thriving. And I know Francois' club, the current corporate club, is really thriving too. Vinod was a mentor just last term, if I remember right, and he was awarded the mentor credit recently. But he is still with the club, helping them out even after those 6 months or a year period. Vinod, can you share about your mentoring and how is your club doing now?
Sure, yeah. When we started, it was a club called Global Toastmasters, and it was a corporate club when it started. And we had a good member count, and everyone was learning their roles well. People started giving speeches, and there were now a lot of new guests coming every other week. Everything was going smooth, and then this pandemic started, and the online setup didn't quite well with the club. Many members showed some reluctance. We had to, I personally had to call a few members who were really active before and tell them to first see and know if it really works or not. So few members joined after repeated calls, and they did find it working after a while. So that's the reason why I don't want to leave the club at this point, because they lost the members. They lost the members quite a bit during this past term. They just have 8 members at this point. So this club is really thriving. So the president and the other club officers, they have decided to open this club as a community club, and they wanted to reach out and bring in new members as well from outside their company. Other than that, they are welcoming enough to host an open house, but because of their company policies and layoffs at their workplace, we are still struggling to bring in the members that left us. Other than that, the meeting quality has improved quite a bit. Despite the pandemic, the club officers the members who are showing up are still giving speeches. And I could see the speeches have improved, and the table topics have also improved quite a bit in this past 6 months.
Thanks, Vinod. You know, the main reason why I wanted to share about how the clubs are doing now is like, it's not always rosy and ends in a good note. There are struggles later on, but we still keep going and going as any other Toastmaster club would do. And we reach a momentum where it automatically keeps happening. I want to open the floor for any questions that the audience would have. And I know there are some potential mentors out here. So please feel free to ask us some questions. Write your questions in the chat window. And while we are waiting, I can maybe just throw in a question while people are thinking about questions. So do you think as a club mentor, do you have to attend every meeting? And have things changed due to virtual meetings nowadays? Françoise, do you want to take it?
It depends if you have one or two mentors going with the club. At the very beginning, you may want to attend the first 2 or 3 meetings just to keep the ball rolling after the demo meeting and have the members recognize you. On the first club that I mentored, I was alone, so I was going at every meeting. It was a good time for me. Anyway, before being appointed as a club mentor, we were working out the schedule to make sure it was working. But now I'm working with another mentor, so we can actually alternate going every other week, but the club is so fun, I'm going every week anyways. But, and the fact that it's online makes it easier because you attend remotely, you don't have the driving time that may be involved. So that's one of the benefits why some clubs are able to recruit new members, and some benefits of being a mentor or club coach as well.
Okay. So, okay, there are questions coming in. So I can as well read those questions. What is a way for a mentor to integrate into a new club? I think that's a very valid question because it's a brand new club. Nobody knows you. How do you integrate? Vinod, do you want to take it?
Sure. Integrating is nothing but communicating to everyone and seeing where you're coming from and what you wanted to do with the club. Making them understand that would see you as one among them and not someone different and who is just coming here to give them suggestions after suggestions for improvements. Every club has a culture, as Mehrnaz was pointing out, and we don't want to just go in and then change it completely. Whatever experience or whatever your own personal club is doing, you don't want to implement everything to that club, right? So you just gel with them and understand what that club culture is and what they enjoy is what you first understand and listen to them. And introducing yourself well, and then talking with the club members, spending time before the meeting and after the meeting with the members will help them understand what you are and why you are here. Not just the officers, but also with the other members, interacting with them and be there to support them in whatever questions they have. That would really help gain their trust, is what I understood in that first few weeks. You're just not there to tell them anything. You're just there to listen and then make them understand why you are really there.
Thank you. There was a question on if you will communicate with each members or just officers, which you answered as well. So you communicate with everyone. How do you get the club officers more engaged as the club mentor? Mehrnaz, do you want to take it since you were working with officers quite a lot?
So how do I get the club officers more engaged as at the club mentor? You know, often people don't know what mentor exactly is, right? You have to, once you make them understand the benefits of being a mentor, and what are the responsibilities of the mentor, that then you'll be surprised at how many people become volunteer. And that's exactly happening in my club right now. So I think the best way is giving a speech, giving 5 to 7 minutes of speech, and letting them know the responsibility of a mentor, the benefits of being a mentor, what you get out of it, what mentee get out of it, so that they become all clear. And then letting them decide, whether they want to be a mentor or not. Now, the question is that how do I get the club officers more engaged? Doesn't matter whether they're club officers or members, basically, it's good for everybody in the club to be a club mentor, right?
Okay. Yeah.
So, but I guess as a club, as an officer, I think this person mentioned mostly focusing that perhaps club officers, because they already have some leadership behind them, maybe they can do better becoming a club mentor. Maybe this is what she or he has in mind, Allison. But altogether, I mean, you can give the speech and then let them decide whether they want to be a club mentor or not. Because again, not everybody can because it's time consuming. I mean, you got to be at their club meeting. You got to be involved, really. So it's not just your name is club mentor and you go to 1 meeting, 2 meetings here, there, and you're done. It's not like that.
Yeah, well said. So I have a question here from Satish, who's asking for an example of how you establish trust with the club before you could drive change for the club as a club mentor. Greg, would you like to take it? Would you be able to give an example on how you establish trust with the club? Or was it easy for you?
Well, first of all, when I first showed up at the club virtually, I just sat back really and observed, tried to get a feel for the club culture. And again, because of the strange nature of the club, they really have a president, a secretary, and I think one other club officer. So there's not a lot of club officers. And really, I would have trouble communicating with a lot of the members just because of their, I won't say disabilities, just because of their special needs. Whereas all the parents and the club president, they have the ability, and they are used to communicating with all those people. So I basically go through the club president for anything that I see. I offer suggestions, I give encouragement. But other than that, there's not a lot I can do. It just, as I said before, very rewarding to see the reactions and how well things are progressing. I know they're never going to be like a normal club. Just seeing the growth is very rewarding.
I think Greg said it better, especially very well at the beginning when he said, sit back and observe. I think that is the first rule of being a mentor. For the first few meetings, we just keep observing how the club members behave and what is the culture of the club before you barge in and start giving inputs. So that's one way of building trust, is giving your feedback one at a time, slowly and steadily over the weeks and months. And that is how you slowly build your trust and start working with those clubs. There's one question from Stephen. What training or preparation do people receive before they become a club mentor? Françoise, do you want to take it?
Absolutely. The training we get is actually what we learn in our club, how to run an efficient meeting. For me, the first club that I mentored, because there was no experience within the club, they were absorbing whatever I was saying. If I would speak about the color red, they would be speaking about the color red. They were just doing everything I was suggesting. And I was trying to do the opposite, actually letting them take initiative and try new things. So in terms of training that I got, it's with my own club, actually. There were some things that we thought would be interesting to try at the meeting, and some things worked. So we kept using those new ideas. And some others just failed, like the different type of table topics or some different way to conduct the meeting. So there is, you can share that experience, or you can let people try and see what works for them. And to me, that also builds the trust. We were talking about trust and how you integrate to the club, and you listen to the concerns, you answer the questions when they do need advice. But I'm not trying to make this club my club with my views. I would just point when things have not worked in other clubs repeatedly, because I have the luxury of having seen several clubs and where the mistakes happen. So we say, okay, I've seen that happen. It's usually not working, try it. But I give them a heads up, and sometimes they say, okay, yeah, it's not worth the time to do that. So that's how my training comes from experience, actually. There is some training on the Toastmasters International, but it's pretty limited. I don't know, do we have anything specific, Shoba, the district level?
So there's one more person you can reach out, that will be the Club Mentor Chair. If you are stuck with any questions or anything, you can always reach out to me. And I do send like a checklist and some kind of basics on what a club mentor has to look out for. There are some things that we have prepared, some communication materials that would be a starting point as a training. There is no separate training as such, but we do have some materials that you can look into, which will help you gain some knowledge on how to be a mentor. And again, talking to past mentors as well. There was one more, Christoph had asked this question, how long were you part of Toastmasters before becoming a club mentor? I just wanted to tie that question into what we discussed just now. There is no set rule on how long you have to be part of Toastmasters before becoming a mentor, but we do look for people who have been officers before, so they know what officers can do. And I want people who have had some educational track done, so that they have some experience with Toastmasters and with meetings in general before becoming a mentor. And we the people here in the panel also, I became a mentor after 7 years in Toastmasters, I think. But I know Vinod became a mentor within like 4 years after joining Toastmasters. So it varies everywhere across the board. So it's all up to you how much you want to take with regards to your travel in leadership skills, how fast you are and what you want to do and what you want to gain. Finally, it boils down to that. I have a question. What is the metric you follow to know that the club is improving? Is it the membership or the number of pathways completed, or you just go by DCP points? Mehrnaz, you want to take it?
Sure, Shoba. So, DCP is is beautifully put together, meaning that it includes everything that a club should do in order to succeed. So that is your best metric, as you're saying, for finding out whether the club is improving. So the number of speeches that are given is education goals. The number of people or members, new members that are joining the club, that comes under your membership goals. Whether the officers going for training, that comes under your training goals. And of course, with the under administration goals, is anything to do with treasurer and this kind of thing, and submitting the officer's name and this kind of thing goes under that category. So basically, yes, following the DCP, that gives you the whole picture of how the club is doing. I would do that, sure.
Thanks, Mehrnaz. As Mehrnaz mentioned, we have the qualitative goal and a quantitative goal, right? So DCP is your quantitative goal. A qualitative goal is basically a club finishing DCP and becoming president distinguished one term and then tanking in the next term. So we don't want that either, right? So we, as a mentor, we look for both. Because the reason why I brought it up is somebody had asked a question, if a club is assigned with both club mentor and club coach, what is the difference between a coach and a mentor? And Gopal, who has addressed this question to us, this is something I covered in the beginning. A coach is more performance driven. So in the district, when we assign a coach, that is why a DCP, the coach has to get the clubs to get through distinguished Toastmaster at least. It's more quantitative. We have to ensure that they get it. Whereas a mentor is almost like a full-fledged development goal for the club, including DCP, because it's a brand new club. A coach is assigned for any club that is struggling. A mentor is assigned for a brand new club. How do you motivate yourself when you don't see the results you expected? Vinod, I know you have been through that quite a lot. So how do you motivate yourself?
Yes, you feel a little disappointed because as you mentioned, it is like your child, because you start mentoring and they are developing in before your eyes. So when you feel the club is falling apart for several reasons, you just try to understand the reason and see see what's going wrong. And when you start to understand that, I think the motivation will definitely come through to think about the steps that can be done to improve them further. Without that, if you just look at the statistics, like this club went from this members to this members, and what do I do? Should I just leave? Or instead of that, if we can analyze what went wrong and then reason out ourselves and discuss with the officers for further improvement, that will definitely keep you motivated.
Thanks, Vinod. Before we go further, it's already 7:02 p.m. I just want to ensure we will continue for 5 more minutes with the questions, just so that people feel free to stick around, just so that I can address all the questions that is in here. And I'm sure the panelists are okay with it too. Just 5 more minutes and then we will close the shop. What kind of time commitment you need to make to become a club mentor? Maybe I can say that you have to attend every meeting if possible. For some clubs which have meetings every week, we trying to assign 2 mentors. We have co-mentors as well, so that you can go every alternate week. But the idea is you share between the mentors on what happened every week, so that we know how to proceed as a team when we have 2 co-mentors. So when I mentored a club a couple of years back, I was attending their club meetings almost for 1 full year, every other week. Faye, who was my mentor, was attending the other weeks. And then it's up to the mentors to decide how you want to do it. So, but you will still need a time commitment. As Mehrnaz said, it is not just that you sit and observe and you're giving instructions to the club. You have become almost part of the club, and because you want the club to really grow. So it does need time commitment. Whether it be a mentor or a coach, it needs time commitment for you to be part of a club. Okay, this is from Evelyn. In François' example, where your club folded, François, just after your assignment, what is the district's position to salvage the club? Would another mentor coach be assigned? If there were a handful of members still wanting the Toastmaster experience, what can we do? I guess this would be a question for a district, for the district top 3, I would guess. But since François has been our district director before, I guess she can address that question.
Definitely. We've worked hard on keeping the club going. There was the area director, the division director, and the district director also involved, as well as the club growth director. We were really helping and finding a solution with them in the end, some people were in the club were saying, yeah, it would be nice if we had the club around, but I don't want to take a role of a club officer. And too many people had left the company and the club at the time, so they decided it was not worth it. There were only 4 members left, and we tried for several months. It just didn't work out, unfortunately. Otherwise, we would have continued and assigned a club coach if there would have been a minimum.
Yeah, thank you. I just want to quickly share, which is something I forgot to share before, is if you want to, all the attendees here, if you want to become a mentor, please go to our district website. And then if you click on info under, you can go to mentor a club. When you click on mentor a club, there is a form which says volunteer to mentor. You just fill this form and submit. It will come to me and I'll gladly take you as a club mentor. And you will be assigned to a club. I just wanted to share this before we leave. I think we have covered, last question. What kind of mentor-mentee ratio works best? In this case, mentee is a new club. So it is 1-to-1 or 2-to-1. We can have 2 mentors for 1 club or 1 mentor per club. And that's the ratio we have followed. We don't want too many mentors because it wouldn't make sense otherwise, and too many cooks spoil the broth too. So, and as Francois mentioned before, it is not, the point is not to force the club to do what you want, or even ensure that they don't do exactly what you're saying. They have to develop on their own, but we are just helping them from behind. That is the idea of being a mentor. I think I addressed all the questions. Is there anyone who wants to speak out and any question that I did not address? Okay, I guess we are good. Thank you, Francois, Mehrnaz, Vinod, and Greg for being my panelists and enabling this panel discussion. And thank you to all the attendees who were able to come here today. Hopefully, I'm going to get some more new club mentors all ready to roll. If not, just feel free to email me at newclubmentoring@d1tm.org, or just go to the Mentor a Club website and send me, submit the form, or you can feel free to send me an email at my ID. Thank you, everyone.